I used to be socially anxious and found it so hard to speak with new people, but now I confidently speak on stage, network at events, and contribute in meetings. So this video shares 5 methods that transform me from being nervous in social situations to being confident. You can start applying these tips from today to feel more comfortable in social settings. It's great to have you here. I'm Covey. I work in wealth management at a global bank where I was chosen from the top 0.2% of applicants. My job requires strong social skills to manage relationships with entrepreneurs, celebrities, and CEOs. And so this channel shares my insights to help you level up your social skills to live a happier and more successful life. The first method to overcome social anxiety is to count the blinks. Now look, everyone knows it's so important to make eye contact in conversation, yet still one of the hardest things to do is to stare someone straight in the eye as you're speaking to them. But a study in Boston found that people who counted the number of blinks of the other person they were speaking with were seen as more confident. So the tip here that's genuinely helped me is count the number of times that the person you're speaking to has blinked. And I know it sounds really weird, but especially in that first minute when you're feeling nervous and you're finding it hard to stare them straight in the eye, it can really help just to count in your head 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and the number of times that they're blinking. And what this does is it takes away all the thoughts that you'll be having on yourself and your insecurities, like, oh, my hair looks bad or whatever. And instead it makes you focus on the other person instead. And so now that you're deeply engaging with the other person, they're more likely to trust you and like you. And so you know what, a quick challenge for the rest of the video, just count the number of times that I blink, and this will encourage you to just stare someone straight in the eyes. The second tip is to use the 3-second rule. Now for me, there'd be times when I'd be at a party and I'd see someone that I'd want to go up to, but if I don't within the first few seconds, I'll start over deeping it in my head and I'll be thinking, oh, they've seen me now, I've seen them, and now it's just a bit awkward, and I'd never go up to them. So now I have a rule where I go up to someone within 3 seconds of seeing them, and literally I will just dart towards them without even thinking. Now you might be sat there wondering like, okay, that sounds great, but what do you even say when you go up to the person? But research has found that it doesn't matter what you say, because only 7% of communication is with your words, the rest is with body language. So the most important thing is that you actually just go up to the person with a smile and good posture. Now if that doesn't put your mind at ease, I've made a video on 5 tricks to never run out of things to say in conversation, and I'll link it here at the end of the video. The third tip to overcome social anxiety is to practice visualization. Now last weekend I went to a dinner for a family friend's birthday, and I knew there'd be a bunch of cool people there that I'd never met before. As you can imagine, I really wanted to give a good first impression. So what I did is I sat in this very chair and I closed my eyes, and I genuinely imagined myself being at that dinner like an hour later, and I imagined myself shaking people's hands and making jokes and smiling. And just by doing this, I had a huge level of confidence when I was at the dinner, and I made great connections with people. So before leaving your house for a party or a networking event or even just work, close your eyes and imagine yourself shaking hands, making jokes, and people just warming to you. This will give you confidence and make you way less likely to be nervous. Tip number 4 is to use what I call the 4-count trick. One of your biggest fears when speaking to someone is probably that moment of awkward silence, but the onus isn't always on you to fill that silence, especially when you've already asked a few questions. So sometimes when I've already made a huge effort in a conversation and I don't want it to feel almost like an interview and it suddenly goes silent, I will literally count in my head to 4. And this is really helpful because a small 3-second silence can genuinely feel like 20 seconds, especially when you're nervous, but just counting in your head makes you realize it's not even that long. Now you might think that counting to 4 can be a distraction, but it's really powerful, especially when you're nervous or if you've already asked a few questions to the other person. Before the final tip, if you want more useful videos like this on your algorithm, please subscribe. Also, let me know in the comments which point has resonated most so far. The 5th method to overcome social anxiety is the long lost trick. This is a mindset where you convince yourself that the person you're speaking to is a long lost friend that you've just bumped into. If you could genuinely try and trick yourself of this, you'd be happy to see the other person and your nerves will go. And I mentioned earlier that it's important to go up to someone within 3 seconds, but the absolute last thing you want is to freeze and be lost for words. So check out this video to never run out of things to say and make the next person you meet love you more than ever.